a little bit a little bit later. I often do. And this we're going to kind of start over with meditation. I've had one meditation class that's been going um, actually for several years. And so as starting over, I'm going to have a little more talking today, probably than we will usually do, because we have to introduce a few things, and including I'm going to give you another um, introduction to meditation. So meditation really is a meaningless word. It's used to mean so many different things. It might as well be talking about a piece of steel or a piece of food, because it's a general idea. And all people know is that generally, maybe it has something to do with peace of mind. And a lot of people think that the word meditation just means to deeply think about something. And it's not about hypnotizing anybody. As a matter of fact, it's trying to get you to stop being hypnotized. So, as we look at meditation, what is it? Well, from an Eastern point of view, it's not about thinking. Philosophy is about thinking. Philosophies are an idea of how you should think. Meditation is trying to go beyond that. And if you end up doing meditation, you're going to actually go another page beyond talking in your head. And that's a tricky thing, because if all anybody has ever known is thought, you might as well be talking about what happens on Jupiter. But if you want to look at meditation, a lot of it is not mysterious at all. It only seems mysterious when you go to a point and that's as far as your mind can go, and actually it goes on out somewhere else. So if we look at meditation, you have to consider that meditation is eventually going to function through three basic doors. And the first door is going to go to do something to release your conscious mind from being frozen. Now, you're probably thinking right now, you must make a picture about what I said about your conscious mind. You may have made 300 pictures or 3 million about what you think your conscious mind is. You're hearing me? Do you understand what I'm saying? Well, that's your conscious mind, which without your conscious mind, you can't do that. So you have your conscious mind. And a lot of practices, meditation practices, go into that in order to be able to get your conscious mind to calm down enough and become smooth enough so that you can start to recognize and work with your unconscious mind. Now, if you're going to be able to start understanding everything that's inside you, the next door that you have to deal with is the unconscious mind. The conscious mind is usually thought of as having not more than 10% of what you are aware of. The other 90% is in your unconscious mind. So your conscious mind is outnumbered. It's not strong enough to do it, even if your will is strong, because 90% of you is not doing it, and 10% is. You're going to have a hard time getting anything done. But your conscious mind usually will flow through your unconscious mind in some way. So when you have really, really serious issues, you have to deal with the unconscious mind. Now, I'm not talking about therapy here, but if you want to arrive and be able to fully engage with life, you can't do that with the conscious mind alone. You only can do a piece of it. You can be partial. You can't be whole. So just to engage with ordinary life, you have to do something to open up your unconscious mind. And that's why people have all these experiences in meditation. They go, oh, what is this thing that has happened? And all that has occurred is that they find out a little bit more of what was inside their unconscious mind. And this is the beginning level of meditation. Now, when you get far enough in releasing your unconscious mind, then you gain the ability to start recognizing what is called the heart mind, Shin. What is beyond thinking? And that's when you go beyond the normal things that you consider this world to be. That's when you go into infinite space. That's when you go where you go when you talk about spiritual tradition. Whenever you get any spiritual story, this story is hitting you on one of two levels. It's never hitting you on your conscious mind, because your conscious mind is being has been trained to be a skeptic. You have been trained to challenge and not believe anything that isn't proven. And after all, that is what science is based upon. Science is finding out a lot of things, but science has not been able to sort out how to get human beings out of their self-centered misery and to a point where they can be happy all the time, or even just have some kind of control. If you want to just be fine, you can do it anytime you want, even if you're seeing people dying on both sides of you. Now, that takes a lot of control, because your conscious mind can't do that. Your conscious mind, from a Chinese point of view, is filled with an infinite number of yin-yang decisions. Good, bad, right, high, low, this, that, whatever. And as long as you're caught in that, it is an infinite ping pong game, and the ball never stops. Your unconscious mind can do it. It is eventually, if you want to talk take it a bit further. You have to get to the heart mind. So clearly there's a lot more in those notes than I was saying at the moment. So I really recommend that you try to read this when I send it to you. You get the whole thing. So one of the things is that the Taoists always believe that there should be some physical movement done with meditation, really as a preparation for meditation. And so they usually do a Qigong practice. And the one we're going to do for this class is the marriage of heaven and earth, which is a really, it's a really great one. And I know that some of you will have already done it, but perhaps this can bring a little more focus to doing that particular practice. So let me just give you a little introduction here. The marriage of heaven and earth, Neigong, is one of China's oldest Qigong Neigong systems. There are within Taoist Qigong and Neigong only a few kinds that have lasted 3,000 years without major modifications, at least in terms of their external movements. The whole realm of Qigong and Neigong is composed of basically 16 giant methodologies. Heaven and earth is one of the few that makes it relatively easy to incorporate many of the 16 in that one piece. It is the fastest and the most direct method. Now, the purpose of Qigong or Neigong, and that is the original name, Neigong, which means roughly practicing power. In other words, the movement of internal energy in the body. And the Taoist methods are based upon the external structure being able to carry the qi within you. Qigong principles say that the outer physical structure is simply to allow the processing of the qi to where in the most efficient way move the energy in your structure. More notes to read later. This set is one of the most complete Qigong sets that exist, although it only has 2 basic movements. It actually includes about 10 of the 16 major methodologies inside Neigong and Qigong. So it can be done literally in a telephone booth or the bathroom. It takes up almost no space whatsoever. So what we're going to focus on first is just the nature of how you do the physical movements. As we continue, every stage will come back to the same movements, and with those movements, how do you institute another program that runs through your whole structure, like a data stream of qi inside you? So, in one sense, from a modern scientific point of view, what's going on, we are starting to realize that a lot of body processes are not really mechanical as much as they are informational. And they are the way information travels throughout your body. Part of what allows this information to travel solidly inside your tissues and solidly inside your mind is one way of describing qi. Information in the way that qi travels through your body and tells it what to do, how to remember to keep on doing it, and puts a continuous signal there. This lies right at the core of whether you are doing Qigong for health or health problems, to heal other people, to use it for martial arts, or to improve high competitive sports, or to use it to increase intellectual capacity. All of these reasons depend upon the idea of the flows. To the Chinese, that's another way of describing qi. Now, qi itself means life force or energy, the energy that is hidden inside a breath, although not the breath itself, although that is another translation of the character. The actual meaning of qi is the energy that breath can be the doorway to recognizing, which is not the same thing as oxygen. So let me demonstrate this, and then I want to break it down into its separate parts, and then we'll do a bit of it together, at least to get us started. So that's the complete movement. That's one repetition. It's usually broken down into, it's actually 8 steps because there's a preparatory step to each repetition, but seven parts. So the first thing is that you are sinking a bit and the spine is bending, the arms are bending and twisting inward. And then as you're rising, this is one, do not do it now, just watch me. The arms are coming up and extending overhead. And then on 2, they're continuing to extend back and connect the index finger to the base of the skull. And then with 3, the elbows come in and the hands come over the top of the head. You're sinking and bending again, and you come down to the point where the Lao Gong point of each palm is facing to the point where your tongue touches at the roots of your upper teeth. If you remember, that's as if you were saying, look, if you need to locate that point. And then that's 3. And 4, the elbows lift, and without lifting the shoulders, and the fingers rotate down. And then as you're rising, 5 is, this is 4, I'm sorry. Yeah. Down to the qua, so down to here. And then 5 is going around the hip and down the outside of the legs, just like in Dragon and Tiger. Then 6, you're slowly making fists and circling the hands up past the kidneys and out to where the forearms are parallel to each other and to the earth. And in 7, you're rising and straightening and allowing the arms to release. And one of the things here that is, when you're actually practicing this, is that you're not linking this to only your exhale and you just open the hands. You are literally only allowing the hand, you're only releasing the hands as they do on their own. So if you, one thing I will say is you don't want to make a really tight fist. We're making soft fist. A tight fist, it takes a long time to let go of it. A soft fist will release differently for different people. It will take a different amount of time. It may be different every time you do it. But eventually you want to complete your straightening and the release of the hands at the same time. So that's the breakdown of the physical movement. Anybody have any questions at this point? Okay, so stand up and let's try going through these movements, and we'll just do them one at a time. We're not going to rush. Not going to try to flow right at the moment. So, as I said, when you begin, the first thing is that you are bending. So your spine is bending a little. The legs are bending to sit down. And remember that means that the sacrum goes straight down to the earth. It doesn't go back. It doesn't go forward. It goes straight down. And your arms bend slightly and twist inward a little bit. And then as you slowly straighten, your arms are going to come forward. The elbows are rotating downward so that as soon as you can, without closing the armpit, your arms are parallel and on the sidelines of the body, which remember is that line from the shoulder's nest to the qua, the line of the left and right primary channels in the body. And then as you continue to rise, the arms extend and rotate and come above your head. Now, how high you take this depends on your flexibility. It doesn't have to be right above, it isn't right above the head. It's simply above head level if you can. And then the arm, as you continue to straighten, the arms circle back and you touch your index finger to the actually the nuchal ridge, right at the base of the skull. That's the second one. So let's just do those again. That's 1 and 2, including the preparation. So bend, sinking down a little, twisting in, and then coming up. The arms are extending and straightening, coming parallel, coming up above head level, then continuing to extend back and touch at the base of the skull. And then as you very slowly begin to bend again, the elbows come in, the hands come over the top of the head. And notice that my arms are as parallel and on the sidelines as they can at this point. There will come a point where they have to separate. And you are trying to come to a point where you feel that energetic connection between the Laogong point and that point where your tongue touches at the roof of the mouth, or right at the base of the upper teeth, which is where the governing and conception vessels change over. We'll come to that. And then, in a way, you're pivoting on that Laogong point so that the elbows rise, but not the shoulder, and relax the wrists and drop the fingers. And then, as the hands go down the sidelines of the body, you're going to slowly rise. The hands come down to the kwa. The Laogong point connects to the kwa, goes around the hip. You notice that the elbows go out to the side, not back, out to the side. And then as you continue to rise, you extend the energy on down the outside of your legs and into the earth. So that's considered the first movement. And I might just say, obviously, when you think about the name, this is talking about really connecting to both the yang energy of the universe and the yin energy of the earth and getting them to move through the body. This first movement is working primarily with the macrocosmic circuit. You may remember, and you may not, depending on you worked with that before, but that's talking about the energy coming up the inside of the leg, through the kwa to the back, and up the back, over the head, down the front of the body to the kwa, around the hip, and back down into the earth. So this is the macrocosmic circuit is one that connects both to earth and heaven. So let's just do that first movement again. Anybody have a question first? Okay. So begin. We're sinking slightly. Arms are rotating, back, spine is bending, and slowly rising. Arms come forward, elbows come in, above the head. Continue rising as you go back. Touch at the base of the skull. Hold the elbows in. Pull the hands over the top of the head, bending and sinking down. Connect to that point. And then lift the elbows, drop the hands. Don't lift the shoulders. So you don't want to be here. You want to be here. And notice that my elbows are pointing slightly downward. And then as you rise, you continue on down to the qua, around the outside, and back down into the earth. So one of the things I might say is that one of the reasons why we always practice at least a little bit of Qigong before we meditate is that it really helps to open up the flow of the energy and to connect with the breath, which we'll do a little bit more of in a minute. Let's try that one more time. So you're sinking, bending, and then rising slowly. Elbows come in, extending up, continuing to extend back, sinking as the elbows fold in, the hands come over the top of the head, connect to that primary point, elbows lift, fingers drop, slowly rising as the hands go down around the qua and down, connecting to the earth. Question? Okay. So the last one, and I'll turn sideways and do all of this for those of you on Zoom in a moment. In the last one, we're wanting to bring energy up into the body. And we're working, as always, with rounded circular movements. So as we begin to sink, we have a little circle as we pick up the energy, and then the hands circle back. Notice that my elbows go forward or stay forward, come past the kidneys, and then out until the forearms are parallel to the earth and to each other, and that they're on the sidelines of the body. And then as you slowly straighten, the arms release, just returning back to beside the body. Question about that? We'll turn sideways on this one. So you're beginning to sink and bend. You pull the energy up, a little circle. The arms are going back and forward. That's another circle. And you come until you complete that motion forward. And you have the parallel arms parallel to the earth. And then you slowly straighten as you release, letting go, not making your hands open, but allowing them to open at whatever pace they do. And so that, depending on how much tension you're carrying, that can take a little bit of time sometimes. Anybody have a question?
Are you working to have the release done when you're here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you release fully here, you're going too slow or you're
Too
not
fast.
fully released there. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, whatever, you may get after doing a few repetitions, you may actually find that you are able to just go right to it. But the first time, maybe, I think when I was first doing this, that I remember sometimes taking quite a bit of time getting it to just let go. So just another reminder not to make that a tight fist, make it a very soft fist. So, Carol or Joanne, do either of you have a question? Okay. So let's start again. Start with feet comfortably together. Just take a moment, be aware of really softening, letting yourself relax into this. Feel your feet on the earth. And then spiraling down into the left, stepping out with the right since it's morning, and coming into center, into your basic structure. So remember, that means that the qua is relaxed. You're not fully extended. There is that natural release. The armpits are open. The midriff is open. The neck is open. A sense of the head lifting off the top of the body, off the top of the spine. And as you go downward, the back of the knees open, the ankles and feet softening and merging into the earth. And then beginning, sinking through your preparation, bending and twisting in, and then rising slowly. Elbows come in, arms parallel as they come up. Elbows release a little as you go back, extending to the back of the neck, base of the skull, and then bending again as the elbows come in, the hands come over the top, come down till the Laogong points connect at that point in your mouth, and then continuing to bend a little as the elbows go out and the fingers go down, and basically you're pivoting the hands on the Laogong point. And then slowly rising as the hands flow down. Feel that connection to the qua, around to the sides, and down into the earth. And then pull the energy up with a little circular movement, the elbows going back, hands circling their soft fist forward, arms parallel, and then release, letting the hands let go, however much time it takes. Just let them relax and complete your rising and straightening just as your hands release fully to the side. And again, you have kept the armpits open there. Just a reminder. Any questions? This is very written out in great detail in the notes that I'll send you. Also, obviously I have it on the video too. So this is, you can begin to play a little bit with these movements this week. And then we'll take things a little further next week. So using our basic Qigong closure, up, keeping the elbows down, cross the wrists, coming down to the dantian and releasing the hands so the two Lao Gong points connect and connect into your lower dantian. And you just hold here for perhaps at least 3 breaths, whatever you would like, whatever you need to feel a sense of completion. And then release. Shift back to the left and rotate onto it and turn forward, drawing the foot in. So any initial questions in there? I know you've done this before, Joanne, so. Anything for you, Carol? Not at the moment? Okay.
No.
So let's sit. And I just want to talk for a moment about our sitting posture. So we would like the back relatively straight, relaxed, but not collapsed. You want to keep the midriff open. You want to keep the armpits open, which means that there has to be a little lift of the elbows. It does not have to be a lot. If you remember, the Taoists describe it as being just large enough for a robin's egg. That's not very big, but it does need to be a little bit of space there. And how you do your hands in our practice at the moment, you really kind of have a choice. Some people prefer to just place their palms on their thighs, which can make it relatively easy to keep the space in the armpits. Master Joe particularly liked forming a soft fist with the thumb tucked inside and resting that on the thighs. And I found that for me, this helped to keep the armpits open a little bit more. If you make it too tight, it will get very uncomfortable fairly rapidly. So if you do this, it needs to be fairly relaxed. You can have your hands in your lap, just crossed. So play with those and use whatever works best for you, whatever feels most comfortable. You do want to keep the head up, not let it droop or fall back. Actually, the head going back and the chin rising cuts off the flow of the energy through the neck. So, but you want to have that sense of a little bit of space between the skull and the spine. that is a very important area to open up so that the energy can flow through there. We, of course, want shoulders as relaxed as you can, so releasing the shoulders. I mentioned the midriff. It is very easy when sitting to just let the midriff collapse, and it only takes a little bit to really impact the flow of the energy through the torso. So you have to find the midpoint, remember, in all of this. You can open up too much, and this will make you tired and sore pretty quickly, or you can collapse and get in the way of it that way. But there is a midpoint that can be comfortable. You want to have a sense of relaxing the qua, being aware of the knees being relaxed and open, ankles and feet softening, and the feet flat on the ground. So the Taoists use both seated like this and sitting cross-legged. They use both postures in different practices, but pretty basically, particularly at the beginning, this is used so that you have a real connection to the earth, so that the energy can flow through the legs. Sometimes a cross-legged position can really impact the flow of the energy in the lower part of the body. So for most Taoist practices, we want to open to connecting to the earth. So clearly, one of the things that's really important in any kind of practice like this is the breathing. And so this, again, will be somewhat of a review for some of you or most of you. Basically, the Taoists want to encourage what they call longevity breathing. Now, that's a basic breathing pattern that has to be developed before you can go to any other breathing practice, reverse breathing or breathing without breathing. Let me just say a word or two here. The purpose of longevity breathing is to relax your body and your nerves and your emotions. It is a way to handle any serious, stressful situation by relaxing yourself, letting go of the tension. You want to create a wave of relaxation inside your body. You want to let your breathing relieve your tension. So longevity breathing is intended to involve the entire body. We spent a long time in the beginning on focusing on breathing into the lower dantian, and that is the beginning, certainly. One thing to remember, and one of the reasons why keeping the midriff open is important here, is that what the diaphragm is doing in its movement in compressing and releasing the lungs is very important. If you collapse, you make it hard for the lungs and the diaphragm to function well. So it's important to keep that erect structure. Not too much, but enough. And you have to find what that is for you. Beyond breathing into the lower dantian and not expanding the chest at all, there are several other areas throughout the body that we focus on, and not knowing for sure how you have done this before. I'm going to just have us sit and focus and meditate on our breath for a little bit and go through these possible stages of development in longevity breathing. I don't expect that all of you will be able to do all of this today. You have to be aware of what you can do without too much effort, and develop what is beyond your current level of ability one step at a time. Our good old separate and combine principle. So I'll ask you to assume your position and close your eyes, unless you find that disturbing for some reason and you feel you want to keep your eyes open. You can do that, but you need to let the eyes be unfocused. And we want to begin by really being aware of our lower dantian and beginning to breathe in and out. So in our basic longevity breathing, as you inhale, the lower dantian is expanding out. And as you exhale, it's contracting in. And you just want to do this with as little muscular effort as possible. So mind intent has to be present in this. At the same time, you're going to feel the diaphragm moving. Or if you haven't been aware of that, bring your attention to it and begin to feel it moving too. So that as your abdomen expands, your diaphragm drops. And as your diaphragm pushes upward, the dantian comes in. And one of the things about breathing is that we want it to relax as much as possible. You don't want to put too much effort into it. You want to allow it to soften and to slow as much as possible. And the ideal first level of slowing is 2 breaths a minute. So a 30-second inhale and exhale, and another. But don't try to force yourself to do that. Simply do what you can do at the moment. Just allow it to relax and flow. Now, the second area we want to add to this is the sides. And the sides are not going to move very much. We have ribs, but the ribs can expand and contract. And you can, if you're not sure whether any part of your sides is moving, you can place a hand on it lightly and just feel whether you feel any movement, and it will be subtle. And we divide the sides into 3 levels. The first one is down at the level of your midriff and the first rib or two. And that area is usually a little easier to get the expansion and contraction to match the dantian. And then the middle of the ribs is a little more difficult. So halfway between midriff and armpit. But you really want to have a sense of that area expanding and contracting. And then on up the sides into the armpit, even subtler, a little more difficult perhaps to feel. One of the things, of course, that we're trying to do with this breathing is to massage our organs. And side breathing, particularly focused to the liver and the spleen. We want to keep all the parts together. So, of course, the sides and the dantian working together. Then add the lower back. And here we're really talking about very low back, down to the sacrum, really below the ribs. So you like to feel that area also expand and contract. With all the parts of the sides and the dantian. And then we want to add the mid-back. And this becomes a very important area because now we're talking also about breathing into the kidney. And the kidneys, remember, are the residents of the Jing, the original life force that is created at the moment of your conception. And while we can damage the Jing and lose some of it, we can still strengthen whatever Jing remains. And that's part of what happens when you breathe into the kidneys. you can strengthen your life force. And then we want to think about adding the upper back. And the upper back too is very important because the movement of the upper back in and out massages the heart and lungs along with the movement of the diaphragm. So feeling that movement go all the way up and include your upper back, but not the chest. Remember, your chest remains still. You can get longevity breathing to flow smoothly, softly, without any break whatsoever. Notice that your mind begins to quiet. And there is a stage of breathing into the brain, which actually I'm not going to go into at the moment. We want to establish this much first. Then just using that basic closing for the moment, exhaling up and inhaling down, drawing the energy into your dantian. Release. So this week, I would like you to meditate on your breath a little bit. Obviously, we're going to add a lot more, but this is a good starting place. Because if you can get so that you can rather immediately go to a full longevity breath, it allows you to focus more internally and begin to work towards moving through those 3 doors of meditation that I talked about earlier. Questions, comments? Any thoughts for the moment?
Oh. Uh,
Anything for you, Carol?
Practice, practice, practice.
Thank you, Carol.
We're still waiting for that book, David.
Which book?
Oh, your practice. You have the title.
My book on practice. Okay. Very good. Thank you, ladies.
Great.
Thank you, David. This was wonderful.
This
Thank
is great. Yeah.
So good to be back. Oh.
It is. It's very good to have you back, and hopefully we'll have a couple of more as we move along.
So, David, this is every week now, not once a month like the Dragon Tiger, correct?
No, this is every week.
This is every week. Okay, then we will see you next week.
Great. See you next week.
All right. Take care. Nice meeting everyone.
Nice meeting you too, Carol.
Take care.
Take care.
So, Linda, how do we connect?
Oh,
I'll
No,
send
don't shut it off yet, David.
I won't. I won't shut it off.
let's email. Let's email.
Okay.
We can exchange numbers, then talk or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be
Both
great.
of our
Yeah, where do you
emails.
live, Linda?
I live in New London.
Oh, okay.
Where are you?
I'm in Norwich, so yeah, and I relate a lot to stuff happening in New London.
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, so let's connect email and
There's
then
a demonstration on Saturday from 10 to 12 in front of the courthouse.
in New London?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna make that one. I can't make that one. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's going on right behind the courthouse as far as the Fresh New London, the youth are doing a lot.
Yep. Yeah, I work with the Southeastern Connecticut Community Land Trust.
Okay.
So I'm doing things with Hearing Youth Voices and Fresh.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm familiar with all of that
Good.
work. Yep. Good folks, good work.
Yeah. I try to do as much as I can to support them as well.
Great.
Yeah. So let's connect. And David's got our emails. So
I do.
if you don't mind being our
I don't mind at all.
You're our communications specialist, David.
Okay.
He is.
Yeah, great. He is. Or a specialist in many, many ways.
Yes, it'll be nice to connect with you, Joanne.
Great. Yeah, you too. Good. Yeah. Be in touch, David. I'll give you my email.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
See
Thanks.
you. And then we'll see you all next well, David, I'll see you next Wednesday. This is
Yeah.
great because we did longevity breathing yesterday.
Yeah, you're getting it twice.
This is good. I'm not to 30 seconds though yet, David. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll work on that.
All right. Good.
All right. Have a good
Take
day.
care.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye.